Hi YouTube family, Lisa A. Romano here, the life coach, and today I want to talk about nice narcissists. At least that's sort of what I call them, versus narcissists that are overtly narcissistic and obviously narcissistic and not that clever. A nice narcissist is someone who, when you meet them, actually acts like they have empathy for you, and they go out of their way to sympathize with you and empathize with you in the beginning of the relationship. And it's all for the purpose of hooking you in. And once the narcissist feels like they have you in, like you trust them, that's when the relationship begins to shift. In my experience, before I was married, obviously, I dated a narcissist, and I thought that I was pretty safe because he and I spoke on the phone for like 6 months before we actually met. And I thought I was like, pretty clever. And he asked me all the right questions. And I sort of ended up feeling like after the relationship ended, like, did he read a book on like narcissism or how to be a sociopath or something? Because it was just too weird. One, in hindsight, when I began to like really from the eye in the sky, as I like to say, began to like pick apart what happened in the relationship. So he asked me questions that got right to the soul of who I am. And if you were on a deserted island and you can only take 5 things with you, what would they be? He asked me questions about my dreams and about my goals and about my childhood, and he really did seem to align himself with me. He made me feel like he was in my corner, and it was intoxicating. It was like, wow, finally a man who gets me, a man who sees me, a man who wants to know me. A few months in, I started to pick up on certain things, and I kind of dismissed them. And I registered them, but I really didn't allow myself to bring them to his attention, because now in hindsight, again, looking back, he had spent so much time laying down the groundwork. He would say to me over and over, I'm a man of character. I would never lie to you. I don't believe in lying. People who lie have very poor character. That's not me. I'm a man of integrity. And I didn't realize that he intentionally was telling me who he was, and at the same time, for his own purpose and his own agenda, was trying to get me to think and believe that he was on my side. So when he started not showing up when he said he was going to show up, or when he slipped and said something that was out of character, when those things happened, I began to, once in a while, I would look at him funny or question something that he said. And what would always bite me in the butt was the weeks and weeks and hours that I had heard him tell me what a great person he was, and how people loved him and wanted to work with him and found him to be, an upstanding citizen, and he surrounded himself with good people and everyone wanted to be around him. So when my mind got confronted with something that didn't make sense, there was this great conflict that was happening in my mind, where I was like very confused about what I was feeling, what I was hearing, and what I was experiencing. It was, when you're involved with a nice narcissist, you are so confused. You doubt yourself. And that is their agenda. Their agenda is to make you doubt yourself. It is, to me, it is the equivalent to murdering someone's soul over time. Eventually what happened with this relationship was it fell apart. Like I checked his phone. His phone went off at like midnight. We were at a friend's party and I checked his phone, and I just had a bad feeling, and I flipped the phone up and I saw a woman's name and I flipped it back down. And I said, okay. And then whenever I saw him again, I said, oh, your phone just rang. And he said, oh, okay. And he checked his phone. He says, oh, it's my brother. And I thought, okay, got you. Now I know you're a liar. And so I felt very, very validated within self, like, oh, I'm not crazy. He is lying. And that felt really good. And that the relationship fell apart from then. from there. But I really did need to validate my instincts that I thought he was lying to me. If I hadn't checked his phone, I would have never known and never been able to validate what I was feeling. And so I'm glad I checked his phone, and I'm glad things began to fall apart after that. Turned out that this particular man told me that he was a corrections no, he told me he owned his own security business, and it turned out that he was a corrections officer. And everything, he went as far as to have sweaters made up with a fake security company's name. I mean, he went that far to convince me that he had this company. Long story short, I wasn't the only woman that he pulled into this dynamic. And I have to tell you, dear one, when I came full face with how maniacal and how diabolical he was, and I had to realize that this man was not the overt narcissist. It wasn't easy to spot. It was almost impossible to spot. I was listening to everything that he said, and in the beginning, he was empathizing with everything that I said. That was the hook. He spent so much time getting to know me, and he used words like, I want to get to know you before I meet you. You know, I know you have children, and I care for my nephew, and, I love him, and I want to make sure that I introduce him to the right type of a woman, and who's upstanding. And so he made it sound like he was a man who had all these qualities, and that made it sound like he cared about children. It made it sound like he cared about my children. He, in my opinion, investigated me and knew exactly what was important to me. He had spent 6 months analyzing me, didn't know that, and used all the information that I shared with him against me. And he became this person that he thought that I would fall for. And it worked for a time. I have to say, and I would love to hear your comments, I have to say that looking back, after egg was all over my face, after looking back, I always kind of felt something was wrong. Now, being a codependent, recovering codependent, I had to understand that I was taught to doubt my feelings. When you grow up with parents who are alcoholics, or who are unrecovered adult children of alcoholics, or who are self-absorbed, or who minimize you and criticize you, or whatever, beat you, whatever your situation is, when your programming from 0 to 12 is such that you were taught not to trust your instincts, then when you meet a covert narcissist or a nice narcissist, you do not trust your instincts. In fact, you kind of go for this gallant Prince Charming type guy, or woman, or this woman if you're a male, or whatever, and you meet this person of the opposite sex and they're into you. Lots of times with what will nice narcissists or covert narcissists will do is, and they're female, is they will come on really, really strong sexually and romantically for a man. And men are very sexual and they're very visual, and female narcissists will use her sexuality and make this man think that, wow, this chick's into me, like, I'm the cat's meow, and suddenly he's feeling like a young stud again, and all his buddies are like, hey, what's in the coffee, and he's starting to feel like needed and wanted, and she has an agenda. She wants him to put a deck on her house, or she's a love addict, or she's dating lots of different men, and she needs the attention of, or she's BPD, and she needs the attention of a lot of different men for different reasons. I had a client once who had a female narcissist in his life, and she wanted him for certain things, and she wanted Joe Schmo for certain other things, and she wanted Harry to do something else, and so she couldn't deal with not having men's attention. So when she was at work, she had to have the attention of the boss. When she picked the kids up from bowling, she had to have the attention of the bowling manager and the bowling owner. When she went out for dinner, she had to have the attention of the restaurant owner or the restaurant maitre d'. So she could not be seen as attractive. She needed to feel like she could conquer men, and she used her sexuality to do it. That's what a lot of covert female narcissists do. At least what I've seen in my coaching practice. So in my case with the male narcissist, it was he got inside my head. He knew exactly what my insecurities were, what my desires were, what my dreams were, and he used that all against me to come off like he was into me until he felt like he got me. And then once he felt like he got me, then I started to notice things in his personality slip. He would say things like, well, you and your kids will listen to me. And I was like, oh, that's not going to work. Like, where'd that come from? And I always kept that in the back of my head. And that was definitely a red flag for me because I'm definitely a mama bear. And so I remember that comment was like, that's a little weird. You and your kids will listen to me. As if he was setting me up, again, implanting or planting these seeds in my head that he was going to eventually be the boss of me and my children. And we would have to cower to him, which is, no, that's not going to happen. But looking back, dear ones, I have to say, come clean, and I have to acknowledge that I did have red flags. My history as a codependent and coming from a home that I felt minimized in set me up to attract someone who was able to get inside my head, who was able to, it was easy for me. It was second nature for me to distrust my feelings and not go with my feelings. The goal for me today is, and this is what I hope to impart with you on these YouTube recordings, as well as in my private coaching sessions and my workshops, teleseminars, and whatnot. The goal, I feel, for each of us is to learn how to come into alignment with our innate self, our God self, to come into alignment with what we feel, our chakra systems, to be able to be completely whole, integrated, and again, I love the word, in alignment with our root chakra, with our throat chakra, with our third eye chakra, with our crown chakra. So in other words, so if I'm driving down the road and I get this very strong sense that I should move over to the right, I now listen to that. I had a hysterectomy 5 years ago, and on a Monday, and on that Thursday, I started to cry, and I was weeping about the surgery. I had such an eerie, bad feeling that I actually, and it's going to sound really, really crazy, but it's the truth. I actually hung clothes, an outfit on the back of my bedroom door. I was a single mom at the time because I was so concerned that I might not make it through the surgery. I don't know where the feeling came from, but I had this overwhelming sense that something might go wrong. So much so that I hung clothes up on the back of the door so that, it sounds sick, that if something happened to me and my children had to, and my parents and my best friends had to get awake or something together, that my kid, that outfit would be there ready to go. I know it sounds sick, but that's how upset and at dis-ease I was over my hysterectomy. And don't you know, dear ones, that during a routine hysterectomy, I bled to death and my heart stopped. I am not kidding. I was in a coma and on a ventilator and needed 6 transfusions. And when I came out of that and I looked back, it was just the most surreal experience because I felt it and I knew it in my gut, and I should have said, listen, I don't want to have this surgery today. Dear ones, today, if I had a $50,000 vacation plan and 20 people coming with me, and I felt I'm not getting on that plane, I would not get on that plane. I am not kidding. There is something at work in this universe that we can tap into. And if we are aware enough to listen to it, our God self is always talking to us. Will we listen? I love that line by Shakespeare, to be or not to be. Am I going to listen or not? Am I going to be in alignment with what feels right or am I not? I had plenty of warning signs with this nice narcissist, with this covert narcissist. And when it came down to be or not to be, most of the time I was not to be. I did not listen. And the goal of this video today, dear one, is to help you, first of all, empathize with you, help you not feel so alone. Even this life coach has messed up. And that's where I get most of my knowledge from, is my mistakes. You know, whatever, but I'm learning and I'm sharing that knowledge and imparting that knowledge with you. I'm human, you know, I had a rough beginning, but I'm learning. It's getting better and better as I go along. And I also want to help encourage you to please, 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 please trust your gut instinct. Don't get on that elevator if you don't feel like you should. Don't go down that corner if you don't feel that you should. Don't get in that car. Don't get on that bus. Don't get on that plane. Don't get in that relationship. Don't go to that house if you feel like you shouldn't. Don't go to that party. Don't have that conversation. Don't date that guy or don't date that woman. Leave him at the bus stop. Just keep going. And dude, I don't care how good the sex is. If you are with a female covert narcissist, get out. She will drain you. She doesn't see you. She doesn't see you. And the minute you finally accept that, boom, she'll be on to someone else. She'll drive you crazy first. And how dare you drop her first? You know, because narcissists don't like to be left. They want to annihilate you before you're able to walk away. But stick with it, dear one. You're better to be done with a narcissist on any level than to be in a relationship with a narcissist. Wish them luck. Learn what you're supposed to learn. Wish them peace. Go on. Go figure out your stuff. And bye-bye. Bye-bye. That's the goal. Dear ones, I hope that this YouTube video has inspired you. Please keep reaching out to me with your comments. I love them. I respond to most of them. I really, really do try. Please check my stuff out at healingselfesteem.com. My books are The Road Back to Me, My Road Beyond the Codependent Divorce, Loving the Self-Affirmations, and Quantum Tools to Help You Heal Your Life Now. Namaste, dear ones. I bow to the love and the light in you. Bye.